Good evening, everybody. I am Pooja Nandagopal and will be the master of ceremony for today's session. So before we begin, I would like to tell you that the program is also live streamed on YouTube. So participants who cannot join the Zoom can attend the session online in YouTube. I request all the attendees on Zoom to please put your microphones on mute throughout the session. Participants attending in Zoom and YouTube, please use the chat box to post your questions or comments during the session. Speakers will take up your questions at the end of their presentation. Those we love don't go away. They walk beside us every day, unseen, unheard, but always nearby. Still loved, still missed, and very dear. With this quote in the remembrance of our beloved Raji ma'am, I take immense pleasure in welcoming you all for the second Dr. Rajeswari Mahadevan Memorial Oration conducted by the Optometric Association of Tamil Nanbargal. I hope you will find the program we have lined up for you to be fruitful and engaging. I now invite Dr. Jamil Rizwana, President OATN, to welcome the gathering.
Thank you, Pooja. Thank you for that introduction. I don't know. I mean, every time I have to speak about Raji, emotions are always overwhelming. So it's like two years as on date since we've lost her. She's been a very good friend and a great mentor to all of us. Of course, Raji doesn't need an introduction, I should say, but she's been the legacy in contact lens when it comes to be it education, be it vision science research, or her clinical practice, the exemplary clinical practice that she had at Shankar Netralaya for more than 2 decades. She had set standards for contact lens in the country. And yeah, so all that I had to say about Raji before the event begins is that, as Pooja rightly said, there are certain people that never leaves, and you always feel that they've left traces of their soul. But Raji has left immense inspiration for everybody in the eye care fraternity to follow her footsteps through all the work that she's done and she's documented. And so this poem by Mary Elizabeth Fry is something that would very, very aptly fit in for a personality like Raji that mentored hundreds and hundreds of optometrists in the country, and even she's recognized among the global fraternity by being awarded as the honorary diplomate of the cornea contact lens and the refractive therapy section by the American Academy of Optometry posthumously during October 2020. So if Raji had been there, this is what she would say: that do not stand at my grave and weep. I'm not there. I do not sleep. I'm 1,000 winds that blow. I'm the diamond glints on snow. I'm the sun on ripened. In the morning's hush, I'm the swift uplifting rush of white birds in circled flight. I'm the soft stars that shine at night. Do not stand at my grave and cry. I'm not there. I did not die. So I think there's so much that we have to still do to carry forward all the footsteps that she's left for us, and especially the one that she strived so hard to achieve, and that for Raji, it's never like she doesn't want to hear the word that we are not able to achieve something. For it's always like wish for it, do it, dust it, and then she continued to do it even after she left her physical realms from this planet by getting the diplomate, the only diplomate in the cornea contact lens and the refractive therapy section in the country at the moment. So with this, I think I welcome the gathering and welcome Dr. Daddy, who's graciously agreed to provide the keynote for us today. Mr. Fakhruddin, who's always provided immense source of support for us, for the Optometric Association, and also for the optometry fraternity in the country, to share his expertise on the BCLA process, the fellowship process, and Mr. Sandeep from the Boston Clearance. So with that, I welcome the entire gathering who's joined with the team OATN today to celebrate the legacy of Dr. Rajeswari Mahadevan. Over to you, Pooja.
Pooja, you're muted.
Thank you, ma'am. Some memories are unforgettable, remaining ever vivid and heartwarming. I invite Dr. Anita Aravind, Head of Operation and Education with Optometry Council of India, Director Academics, Learn Beyond Vision, Senior OSCE Educator India for Manicon. She specialized in specialty contact lens practice. She is passionate about optometry education and has taught at several colleges of optometry across the country. She is currently associated with Chandigarh University as a visiting faculty. Apart from this, she was a classmate of Dr. Rajeshwari. I invite you, ma'am, to speak a few words about Dr. Raj.
Thank you so much, Pooja. And thank you, Dr. Rizwana, President of the Optometric Association of Tamil Nanbargal, and the entire team from OATN for this day. Today is an emotional day, not only for me, my batchmates, and for everybody else who have known Raji up close and personal. I'm trying not to get too emotional, and this emotion should not spill into a very somber beginning to this great occasion. We are here to celebrate her, and I'm trying to keep my calm at this moment. I'm here today not to speak of the laurels that she has achieved, but to share a couple of my fond memories of Raji, since I've known her since 94, when we joined optometry school as freshers at the Elite School of Optometry. We spent 4 full years and have had some great moments with her. And I will never forget the smile that she always carries along. And that itself was an inspiration for many. I mean, she could face it all with her smile. I mean, for a person like me, I would show my emotions. If I'm angry, it shows up on my face. If I'm happy, it shows on my face. But for Raji, her smile hid lot many emotions, and she kept smiling till the very end. To speak about her as a classmate, I mean, we had so many common interests apart from contact lenses. Of course, we used to bump into each other at any given point during conferences, during workshops, during ICL meetings, because we had a common passion for the subject on contact lenses. But believe me, whenever we met on these occasions, we never spoke or uttered a word about contact lenses. We would always be sharing a laugh, joking around, reminiscing the good old days of our undergraduate program days, about our ragging sessions, about our friends, family, kids, shopping. And she was one person who was very fond of shopping. She used to always come dressed very well. I always used to appreciate her whenever she sported a sari for all these occasions. And in her memory, I'm also wearing a sari today. This is for you, Raji. I hope you're up there smiling and, smiling your usual smile and watching us over. And this day 2 years ago was definitely an unforgettable day for all of us. I mean, it came out of the blue. It was least expected. In fact, I had met her in one of the conferences that occurred in Bangalore in February 2020, and we were deeply discussing about our alumni meet as to how we would be celebrating meeting each other in the year 2020. The 2020 was again an unfortunate year with the entire globe under the reeling under the pandemic, and as such things were going haywire, and her passing came out of the blue. So it was just too much for us to take, as known her up so close and personal, I would say. But to think of her, if I say happy memories, yes, there are loads and loads of memories. And as students, we would always be participating in all the events, especially on days such as an optometry day or farewell parties or freshers party. We would always be there up on the stage dancing, because both of us were fond of dancing. And she was a very God-fearing person and very helpful and a very meticulous and organized person, I would say. Even during the college days, if any one of us forgot a pencil or an eraser or a stapler or a pair of scissors, you can just rush to Raji and ask for it, and with a smile, she would just hand over those things. And we used to, joke around saying that she was a walking stationery house, because she used to carry everything, and she was so meticulous and organized. Now, when I reflect back, it shows that, once you are organized and meticulous, you can achieve so much in your life. Things that we lack, when we look back and we look at people who have draw inspiration from, or who have achieved great things in life, they've all been very organized and meticulous. And she was always a hustler. She was always in a hurry to do so many things, and she was so full of life. And if you look at her achievements also, every year she would achieve something or the other, be it an award, publishing a paper, or earning a fellowship. She was in a constant hurry, picking up, gathering so many things. Probably she knew that she lived a short life and she had so much to achieve, and she's achieved so much way beyond each one of us could even imagine. I mean, I shouldn't be talking about what she has achieved, because it is known to all of us. And she brought so much of pride to us, her batchmates, to the Indian optometry as a whole. And she gave a global face to the Indian contact lens industry as well. So, I mean, her achievements are endless, I would say. And I only want to thank OATN for remembering her. And as they say, great people are not forgotten. And every year, with every passing year, though the grief is still there, but then we are going to be celebrating her in every possible way. Thank you so much, OATN, for having invited me, her friend and batchmate, to speak a few words and share a couple of my memories with Raji. Raji, you live on. You've lived a grand life, and you continue to live a grander life. You live in each one of us, and you make us proud every day. And I'm sure you're happy up there on the other side till we meet again. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your memories and cherishing the moments with Dr. Raji. It's time for the scientific sessions. I now invite Mrs. Preeta Ramprasad, Vice President OATN, to introduce our first speaker.
Thank you, Pooja. Am I audible? Thank you. So, first of all, thanks to Viswana for reciting that poem, and to Dr. Anita for sharing her thoughts about Raji. And actually, I was walking along with Dr. Anita when she was explaining, for sharing her moments, as I was part of most of them in various cycle conferences. So thanks for that, Anita. So on this day, thanks to OATN for giving me this opportunity to introduce the first speaker of today's session. So here, sorry, I'm feeling really emotional now, because I consider Dr. Raji as my role model. I'll try to keep myself cool and start introducing Dr. Daddy. So we have a befitting person, a legend in contact lenses, just like Raji, how she was to India. So Dr. Daddy Fidel is a contact lens designer. She's a pioneer of modern lens designs and a specialist in various specialty contact lens fittings for irregular cornea, myopia control, and orthokeratology. She graduated from an optometry college in Italy in 2001. She in fact completed the 4-year course within 3 years with honors. And she started lecturing and publishing journal articles from the first year of optometry school. She has over 20 years of experience in optometry and specialty contact lenses. She runs her own optometry practice, specializing in contact lenses in Italy, where she also personally designs and fits customized specialty contact lenses. She is internationally recognized as a key opinion leader who has several peer-reviewed publications in specialty contact lens area, and she is a speaker in various national and international symposia. She is also an author of Scleral Lens Complications, Their Recognition, Etiology, and Management, and she has co-authored a book named Clinical Guide for Scleral Lens Success with Dr. Melissa Barrett. She is also the editor-in-chief of the Journal of Contact Lens Research and Science. She is a certified and approved speaker to conduct NCLE approved courses, and she is also the first certified eye-print practitioner outside USA and Canada. Dr. Daddy is a proud recipient of various fellowships from Scleral Lens Education Society, British Contact Lens Association, American Academy of Optometry, and International Association of Contact Lens Educators. She is also the founder and head of European School of Scleral Lenses. She is a founder and past president of Academia of Italian Scleral Lens Association, co-founder and president of Euro and Australasia Scleral Lens Academy, and has to her credit many more such associations and advisory board memberships. I was fortunate enough to be one of her students during the recent contact lens Scleral Lens education course, and I was truly amazed by her simple teaching methodology, her skills in customizing scleral lenses, creating notches, fenestrations, and I enjoyed those sessions, Dr. Daddy. And Dr. Daddy also has a website, and going through that website, you know how tech savvy she is. She updates it regularly, and I request you all to go and visit her own website. So I now invite Dr. Daddy to give her lecture on scleral lenses and enlighten the audience. Thank you so much.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much for including me. It's such an honor for me to be lecturing for Dr. Mahadevan Memorial Oration. It was very emotional for me hearing your experience and telling about Dr. Mahadevan. And as we say in Lebanon, death for legend people make them immortal. So I'm sure that Dr. Mahadevan, with the death, is now immortal and is living through the memory of everyone. So today I will be talking about scleral lenses. It's difficult now to be speaking about scleral lenses after this introduction, emotional introduction of everyone. So we'll be talking about the myth and fact, and here all the topics that we will be discussing about contraindication, if there are absolute or relative, and depends on the patient that we have. We will be talking about advanced indication, advanced application, and we will see cases with thin cornea, telescope application, and case with prism. And also we will see what could be the fitting issues when we are fitting scleral lenses in ocular surface diseases. So let's start with the contraindication, if they are absolute or real. Here is an article that I published a few years ago, listing not only the indication, but also contraindication. And we call this, these contraindication, we entitled this article potential indication. Because while we were writing this article, we realized that they are not true contraindication, and every patient should be taken individually, studied, and evaluated if the patient or the eye is a good candidate for skin lens fitting. So we will be seeing now that endothelial cell density. We know that endothelial cell density may be a contraindication because it may cause more edema, especially for keratoplasty, for cornea with keratoplasty. The endothelial cell loss after the keratoplasty varies from 39% to 71%, but we also know that up to 31% of our patients with keratoplasty develop astigmatism greater than 5 diopters. So these patients need to function, need to work, need to drive, need to be independent. How to do with these patients? And in some cases, the cornea is too much irregular that corneal lenses may not be beneficial. Poulom and Severinsky fitted for so many years scalar lenses in these patients, and Severinsky showed that only 6% of these eyes have developed edema, and in cases where there was edema, hypertonic saline was used to accelerate the recovery of the edema, and in patients where the edema persists, they use this hypertonic saline into the bowl in the filling solution, the non-preserved saline. So we also know that keratoplasty that will not last for a lifetime. Only 27% last 20 years, and only 2% last 30 years. And the endothelial cell density around 6 years is less than 53%, and this will continue to reduce. And we saw also that this loss of the endothelial cell density will continue, also is present also in the new technology and DSAC, and with the DSAC after 10 years, the loss is comparable to the penetrating keratoplasty, 71%, which is a huge. But how can we do if we have cases with low cell density? So this is a case that I have a patient from Spain. She contacted me because she was desperate. She already knew that she had a complex case. Here you can see the subject of her email, scleral lens for complex case. So we had a chat, so we discussed, I told her and we discussed her case, and I wanted to learn more why she is presenting her case as a complex case. So she was desperate because she went around in Spain for fitting scalar lenses, and no doctor wanted to fit her scalar lenses. Not only because she had old grafts, so she's very near probably to the second one, but also because she had low cell density. So before going to understand how much cell density she was, her non-corrected visual acuity was 20 to 200. Her refraction was good, provided her a good vision, but she was not happy with her vision. She tried several contact lenses, also soft-contact lenses and corneal lenses. Corneal lenses could not support them in the eye because of the discomfort of the lens, and soft lenses because she had severe dry eye. So her cell density was 736. Here is the pentacam of her eye. So you can see the topography, but also the lens, the corneal thickness, which is crucial to have as a baseline and to compare to the corneal thickness after fitting scleral lenses to understand if these lenses are causing edema and how much the edema is it. So I decided to fit her with scleral lenses, and the lenses that I chose was with the highest decay available, also because she had dry eye, and studies have shown that the Optima Infinite material provides better wettability of the surfaces. So it's crucial to choose as material, especially in these cases. To provide more oxygen to her cornea, I reduced at the maximum the volt, because we know that the decay of the fluid reservoir behind the lens is 80 So we can have the maximum decay of the material, the lens material, but the decay of the solution behind the lens cannot be changed, and it's fixed 80. What we can do is to reduce the thickness, so to improve the transmissibility of the oxygen through this layer. I also introduced two fenestration to allow more oxygen as well, and her visual acuity was amazing. She, was increased, and she was very happy with her new vision. We started to fit her with 4 hours, and I verified her edema after 4 hours of wear, and her edema was less than 1%. So for this reason, we decided to increase the wearing time to 7 hours, and she went back to Spain because she couldn't stay all time in Italy. After 1 week of fitting, she went back to Spain, but I referred her to another optometrist in Spain who had the same technology I have to monitor the corneal thickness. So she was closely monitored in Spain. After 3 months, she came for the follow-up in Italy, and here is her the lens on the cornea. Here you can see the lens. You may know that maybe the lens is touching, but the lens is not at all touching the cornea. The volt is very reduced, so it's very close to the cornea, but it's not touching. Here you can see the fenestration, 2 fenestration and 2 and 10 o'clock. The fenestration should be in the limbal area towards the landing zone where the volt is very reduced. So even if an air bubble is coming in, there is no room for the air bubble to develop. The diameter of the fenestration should be 0.3 millimeters or 0.5 millimeters at the maximum. So after 3 months follow-up, she came, but 1 week before she had to come to Italy for the follow-up, she called me and she told me that 7 hours now are not enough because she found a job. She was extremely happy for that, and she needed the lenses also for the full-time job. So she asked me if she can wear these lenses for 9 hours per day. I told her, okay, wear the lenses for 9 hours per day, and let's see how the cornea is reacting. So after 1 week of wearing the lenses for 9 hours per day, you can see here the edema develop, but is very, very low, still less than 1%. And it was still amazing. When she came to Italy, she needed the lenses for more than 9 hours per day. And I knew that I could tell her not to do that, not to wear the lenses more, but compliance would not be maximum. So I wanted to know what would happen to the cornea if she wasn't compliant, if she would wear the lenses for more than an hour per day. So she wore the lenses for 12 hours per day during her stay in Italy, and the edema a little bit increased, but still very, very limited, less than 1%. So in this eye where she had the keratoplasty, the edema was less than 1%, and in the other eye, because she had only keratoconus, she didn't want to have the keratoplasty after her bad experience in her right eye, so she didn't want to undergo a keratoplasty in her left eye. The edema in her left eye was higher than the right eye where she had keratoplasty. So she wanted to reduce the edema, and we included now the fenestration also in her left lenses. So she is wearing 2 lenses with fenestration. She's amazingly happy. She can work now. She can drive, and her life is back. So the quality of her life definitely increased, but change her life. So fenestrations in the limbal area may have different indications, and also the fitting is different. Also, we can have fenestration in the landing zone, but it has a different indication, which is only for to reduce the lens suction. Lens suction may also be reduced by these fenestration in the limbal area, but if the lens is suctioning too much on the eye, the lens suctioning on the eye will also create edema. So it's important to have a best fit to reduce the creation of edema, the development of edema, also with the fitting. So it's not important only to have a supply of oxygen to reduce edema, but the fitting should be very good. The limbal zone should be, the wall over the limbal zone should be reduced. We should not have limbal congestion because it will cause edema. And the landing zone should be very well aligned on the conjunctiva with soft touch, because suctioning and ST plans will cause edema as well. If you want to learn more about fenestrated skin lenses, this is an article that I wrote with Donald Ezekiel. Donald Ezekiel is the father of the new gas permeability lenses. So here a question that I'm asked very frequently: if the fenestrations and the lenses will not allow the saline to flow away. So here you can see in this video that the saline is not going away, still in the lens. So the patients can apply the lenses with no issues of air bubbles formation. You can do the fenestration. So if you have a lab doing the fenestration or also the notch, just refer to these labs to do these modification on your lenses. Otherwise, you can do them by yourself, with a simple drill. You create the notch, so you have to indicate where you want the fenestration and where you want the notch, why the lens is applied on the eye. Here you can see the pen mark on the lens when the lens was applied on the eye. So then you can go to the notch. After doing the notch, you have to round the notches, the edges of the notches, the peripheral one, but also anterior and the posterior surface, and then you have to polish it with a microfiber tissue and polish solutions. For the fenestration, it's very easy to do this. So with a 0.5 millimeters, 0.3 millimeters better to reduce the possibility of creating air bubbles behind the lens, you do the notch. And again, here you need to round the edges of the fenestrations as well. So here you can see how the notches are rounded and also polished, and it's very easy to do with simple tools that you can find everywhere. Important things that you have also the polish solution so you can polish them. What we did, these are the workshops that I'm conducting all over the world. This is a workshop that I did in South Africa. So participants of this workshop had the opportunity of the advanced course. So when we do the advanced workshop, participants had the opportunity to do notches and also fenestrations. And here the lenses that we created in South Africa, which was, we called it the flower lens. So, when to fit the scleral lenses in if the patients have reduced cell count. So you cannot predict the corneal response. What I suggest to do is to fit that cornea and monitor the response of the cornea after 4 hours. If the cornea is reacting well, you can proceed with the fitting and increase the wearing time. Otherwise, it's important to choose another modality. Because we have corneas with 400 or 500 cell count, and they may not develop edema, and we have corneas with 1,000 cell counts, and they will develop edema. So it's not predictable. Just apply the lens, and you can see how the cornea is responsive, is reacting to this lens. The important thing also to optimize oxygen delivery through the high TK thin lenses and reduce tear reservoir thickness, include fenestration, peripheral channels to reduce also the suctioning of the lens on the eye eye, but also to allow more tear exchange. I don't know if you have peripheral channels. If you don't have designs with peripheral channels, just fit the lens a little bit flat to allow more tear exchange. And again, you need to be aware that limbal congestion and suctioning a tight lens will also create edema. So that fitting should be very optimal in these cases. Glaucoma and IOP. This again, it's a controversy in scleral lenses. Everything started with McMoney's hypothesis that scleral lenses may induce IOP just because of the lens pressing on the Schlemm's canal. After this provocation, several clinical research have been done, 10 in total so far, and the 5 over here you can see in blue, these studies have not shown any change after scleral lens fitting, and those in red have shown that scleral lens have increased the IOP in these patients. So 5 of them demonstrated increase and 5 of them did not demonstrate any significant increase. Why do we have this difference in these between these studies? Because the methodology of the study was totally different between one another. The instrument they used to measure the intraocular pressure was different, and also the method in which the method they used to measure the IOP was also different. But the diameters also was different, the fitting was different, so it's difficult to understand why, if really the IOP is increasing, is increased when wearing scleral lenses, and why we have this increase. This is a response of Dr. Bergmanson from Texas. So in a recent meeting in Texas, he asked a question, do you know, to all doctors in the room, do you know how many different outflows the eye has for the aqueous? And only few doctors knew that we have at least 6 different pathways that lead the aqueous outside the eye. So we have the 3 ones through the canal of Schlemm, the conjunctiva, scleral, and ciliary venous plexi, but we have other 3, which are the uveoscleral, the uveolymphatic, and the transscleral pathway. So, referring to Dr. Bergmanson, if the eye have this canal of Schlemm reduced, so the flow of the aqueous is reduced through the canal of Schlemm, the pathway is, these other 3 pathways are more developed to allow the balance of the aqueous inside the eye. So that's why certain eyes have developed IOP increase and other ones did not have IOP increase. This is another explanation why we have different results among these studies that we have so far in the clinical trial. Overnight wear, generally, yes, it's a contraindication, not only because of the edema development when wearing the lenses overnight, but also because of the microbial keratitis risk in these patients. But these studies have shown, case studies have shown that scleral lenses was very well tolerated in overnight wear in very specific cases. And these are indications in which scleral lenses may be fitted in overnight wear. Here is a case from Boston site group, which is a persistent epithelial defect. In this case, they had to apply the scleral lenses for this patient for the for healing the cornea. So although this cornea is developing edema is not a priority in this case. What is a priority now is heal the cornea. So they prescribed the scleral lenses for several months until until the healing. What they did is to provide 2 pair of lenses, 1 pair for the overnight wear and the other pair for the daily wear, because the patients had to remove the lenses during the day, disinfect them in hydrogen peroxide solution, and wear the daily lenses. During the night, the patient had to remove the daily lenses, put them in the hydrogen peroxide for the disinfection to reduce the risk of developing microbial keratitis, and wear the overnight wear. And also what they did is to put antibiotic in the bowl when wearing the lenses, the Vigamox, which does not have any preservative, so it's a preservative antibiotic, and only 1 drop to avoid the development of microbial keratitis. However, after the rehabilitation, they switch only to the daily wear. And here you can see the difference between day 1 and after 3 months. So scleral lenses, yes, may not be indicated in overnight wear, but in some cases, this is the only option we have. So these cases should be monitored very closely, not only for the corneal edema, but also for the microbial keratitis. So regarding the glaucoma, the conclusion is that scleral lenses definitely are not indicated to correct only refractive errors. And in compromised cornea as well, it's very important to have a careful examination before the fitting and after the fitting to compare the reaction of the ocular surface. This is a very special case. It's this patient's, I love this patient's very, very special patient. So she is 19 years old. She's coming from Germany for the lens fitting. She doesn't have a life. She is she had a very difficult times lately because she was considered disabled. She cannot drive, she cannot do anything, because as you can see here, her visual acuity was very reduced. So what is her condition? She was diagnosed with an autoimmune condition in both eyes. It started with a palpebral inflammation, and it transformed into uveitis that caused corneal scars. She started cyclosporine, but it caused more scars. Fluid acid reduced the scars, but she had to use them only 1 time because the ophthalmologist prescribed them only 1 time, and she had chronic blepharoconjunctivitis as well. So her vision was not affected until 2021 because of an inflammation. So here you can see her topography and her corneal thickness as well. And here you can see how thin was that cornea. I don't know if you can read here, the thinnest location was of 93 microns. 93 microns is nothing. Plus, she didn't have only a thin cornea, she had scars. So here you can see the scars were in the pupil area, and she had gauze vessels and active neovascularization. So definitely in this case, I didn't want edema, so I had to have a great supply of oxygen in this case, but also I had to make a perfect fitting to avoid limbal congestion, because limbal congestion will definitely worsen this neovascularization, and the blood will go again in these gauze vessels. And also I didn't want at all a tight fitting and lens suctioning on the eye. So again, here the lenses were made with high TK. Here the fitting, you can see the fitting on the limbal area, which was optimal, and also on the conjunctiva, the lenses were fitted very soft without any compression. So I iPrint Pro in this case, and later I don't have the new photos included in this slide, but I also included 2 fenestration in this case to reduce further like lens suctioning at the end of the day, and also to have more supply of the cornea. And here you can see at lens application, I had to take photographs of the neovascularization just to monitor if there will be advancement with the scleral lens wear. The patient was extremely happy, so I saw her at the follow-ups. Here you can see her visual acuity, how definitely increased. And this increase in her visual acuity gave her back her life. So she started a new job. She couldn't work because of her reduced visual acuity. Now she started a new job. She is a teacher, but she is considering to go to the university. And she also applied for a driving license, which is incredible. And this this shows how scleral lenses change these patients' life, and it's a journey to their independence. And when we say that the scleral lenses change patients' life, you are not changing only these patients' life, you are changing the life of all the family. This patient is not anymore dependent on her mother. Also, her mother now is free, and she doesn't have to accompany her and to follow every time her daughter, because her daughter was not independent. So happy patients, and if you have happy patients, we also are happy. So we will see other cases, special cases. You know, the scleral lenses are also indicated for low vision. Here is a scleral lens with a telescope. Here you can see the optical ray trace in the red, and 1 per and the 2.8 per, which are the blue here in the small aperture in the optic zone of the lenses. So scleral lenses may also be useful for these patients. It's definitely is an aesthetic option for these patients, and they are indication for inclusion of a telescope because of their stability on the eyes. The lens doesn't move and does not decenter. And even if it decenters, you can decenter the optic zone of the lens and include this technology. This is another patient that I followed, is a patient of a colleague of mine in Argentina, Hugo Legaria. He had this patient with it was a suture, a professional suture, but he had diplopia of 10 prismatic diopters, and he needed some solution to play again without any correction and to have a good vision. So in these lenses, we included 2 prisms in the optic zone, 5 diopters in each lens, so the 10 diopters, prismatic diopters, were switched into lenses, and diplopia was horizontal. And you know, I don't know if you have ever fitted scleral with a prism. The horizontal where the base of the prism is located, the horizontal meridian, is the most difficult ones to stabilize on the eye. So this lens was toric in the periphery, and we also included the double slab off to increase even more the stability and do not have rotation of the lens on the eye. Ocular surface diseases and scleral lenses. When you are fitting these patients, especially dry eye, you are covering the anterior surface of the ocular surface, because now the lens is protecting the ocular surface, but now the new surface which is exposed to the air is of the lens, and you may have deposit on this surface or wettability issues, and wettability issues may cause compromise compromise vision, decrease comfort and wearing time, and increase chair time, because these patients will continue to come to your practice just for you to have a solution for them. So what they can do during the day is just clean the lenses with a cotton swab. A solution should be put on the cotton swab and clean the lenses, or also the plunger wet with some solution, non-preserved solution, and clean it. Otherwise, you can add HydraPeg here to the same lens. HydraPeg was included, and you can see the difference again. These patients may also have midday fogging. So not only problems in the fog of the anterior surface, but debris into the fluid reservoir. What to do in these cases? So midday fogging has different management strategies, but what patients can do is just to put the saline at the edge of the lens and squeeze it completely into the bowl. And here saline, into the saline, fluorescein was put just to show how this method is renewing the total fluid reservoir behind the lens. Also, this technique, we did it in the different year school that I had around the world. In this case was in Spain. So the practitioners tried this technique on herself, and here you can see how it renewed all the solution. Also here it's in South Africa again, and in this case an air bubble was created just to understand if this technique will also reduce the air bubble formation. And indeed, we were all surprised about this technique, how this technique is removing also air bubbles behind the lenses. Here you can see how the air bubble went away. So we have different ways to do when we have issues, just to have a little bit maybe a fantasy, a good fantasy, not a strange fantasy. So several good reasons to have advanced technology for complex and simple cases, because what we are providing, not only good scleral lenses or good contact lenses in every practice what we do, but we have to customize our care, our attentions to our patients. Here, I would like to introduce you to the summit, the conference that I'm organizing with different colleagues, and it will be again in October 14, 16 in Sorrento this time. So everyone is invited. Here you can see the website, so you have all the information that you need. Thank you so much again for including me. It's an honor for me to be included in the memory of Dr. Mahadevan. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Dari, for that excellent presentation on scleral lenses. We enjoyed the videos thoroughly. We also learned some new techniques. I'm sure people would have understood, about the knots that I created. I'm sure everybody learned something new today. So we'll go on to the question and answer session. All members are requested to post their questions in YouTube. So the first question was from Ms. Keshri, but that has been answered in the presentation itself. We are asking about scleral lens increasing the IOP. So we'll move on to the second question. So the second question is from me. So in case of fenestrated contact lenses, how to ensure that patients apply the lens on the eye with fenestrations correctly in 10 and 2 position?
Sorry, I did not understand. Can you repeat, please? It's not clear.
I'll go a little slow, ma'am. So for patients who are using fenestrated scleral lenses, how to ensure that they apply it on the eye with the fenestrations correctly in 10 and 2 o'clock position? How do they insert it correctly at 10 and 2 o'clock position?
So the lens, all these customers, to include the lens and the fenestration on a lens, the lens firstly should be stabilized on the eye. So it should be at least toric or asymmetric, so the lens is stable on the eye. Otherwise, these fenestration or also the notch or any customization in the lens periphery will be moving around. So once you have a stable lens on the eye, you have to mark the lenses on the lenses when they are applied on the eye and make these fenestration. And every lens should have a mark at hour 6. So the patient will put that mark, a dot or a line, and a dot in these cases, it should be black. So that dot you have to instruct your patients to put the when they are applying the lens, that dot should be at hour 6. So you are sure that these fenestration are at the position that you want to them to be.
So the mark, it's an ink that we are going to give the patient. It's an ink, a dye kind of a thing that we are going to give the patient for the mark.
The marks should be put by the manufacturer. So you need to ask the manufacturer to mark the lenses. What is generally done is 1 dot in the right lens and 2 dots in the left lens. So it's easy also to differentiate the left from the right, and they will not switch the lenses on the eyes.
How do they clean the fenestrated area after removing the lens?
Hydrogen peroxide is very effective also in these holes. So you don't need to clean them if you are using hydrogen peroxide. Otherwise, with the cleaner and the a teeth brush, just go and clean the holes with the cleaner of the scleral lenses, and they will be cleaned easily in this way.
So the next question is from Ms. Grishma. How much percentage of corneal edema is acceptable following 12 hours of wear of scleral lens in an irregular cornea?
Well, edema is acceptable up to 4%. We all develop edema up to 4% at our awakening. So in irregular cornea is acceptable up to. But we need to understand if this edema is prolonged. So it should not be, I would say more than 3%. And in compromised cornea, which is different than irregular cornea, I would not create edema more than 2%. So this is my limits.
The next question is from Ms. Savita. She has asked about the fenestration video, and she has mentioned that the video shows no spillage of saline. Is there any indication to fill or not to fill the lens with saline?
Well, donalidical is not used to fill the scleral lenses with saline because the volt is very reduced, and if you have tear exchange, so the lens is a little bit lifted, the tears will come inside and fill the ball, so the space between the lens and the cornea. I personally prefer to tell my patients to fill the lenses with saline in case that the tears are not enough to fill the space between the lens and the cornea. So I suggest to fill the lenses with saline.
The next question is from me. So for patients with ocular surface diseases and who are all on medication, can fenestrated lenses be prescribed, or do we have to use the saline-filled sclerals?
Yes, fenestrated lenses may be prescribed in all patients. So what you have inside the ball will not go outside because of the negative subatmospheric pressure that the lens is creating under the ball. So no worries about going everything is inside the lens will go out. However, if something is going out because there is a suctioning of something from outside in, so there is a renewal of solution. For medication, you have to refer to the doctor for this. So it should be the case should be managed with the doctor. Understand for how much time these medications should be in contact with the eye. However, the lenses should definitely be filled with saline, in my opinion.
The next question is from Ms. Lata Balaji. Does scleral lens with prism affect the blink of a patient?
No, so what you are seeing here may be the height of the prism on the eye, but the patient was very comfortable and there was no issues with blinking, definitely not. And if you reduce the optic zone, this thickness will also be reduced, and the edge of the prism will not be felt by the patient. So there is no issue with blinking at all.
So that's about the questions from the Zoom chat. And I don't see any questions yet on YouTube. So we have another question coming up from Savita. What do you prefer for fitting pediatric patients, fenestrations or channels?
Well, we don't have channels in Europe, but in my fittings, I always fit the lenses a little bit lifted off, so flat in at least one area or one meridian, just because I like tear exchange. I have sealed lenses only if the patient is experiencing discomfort from this lifting, or in cases that I have midday fogging. So in these cases, or the lift, so it's very light lifting. This lifting is not creating decentration. So very light lifting to have tear exchange. Only when I have discomfort of patients and midday fogging, I feel sealed. Fenestration, for the fenestration, I include them only in few patients, just because of the fitting should be different. So you cannot include fenestration in all lenses that you are fitting. When the volt is very high, you will have air bubbles. So when you need to fit fenestrated lenses, you need to go down with the volt. So you include these volt in the limbal tower, the periphery, and the air bubbles will not create it. In pediatric patients, I think that the preferred way to do is just increase the tear exchange that you have. So channels are more indicated. Fenestration are indicated to reduce suction, reduce midday fogging formation, have another more supply of oxygen. So yeah, the indications of channel and fenestrations are different, and they are both maybe indicated in pediatric patients depending on the eye condition. So it depends on the eye condition, not the age of the patient.
A basic question. So somebody, a new practitioner who wants to start scleral lens practice, what basic parameter measurements that we need to take on the eye, and what instrumentation would be required?
So the two basic measurement, HVID, because the lens should overfold the cornea and the limbus. So based on the HVID, you will choose the diameter and the eye sagittal height to understand how much the lens sagittal height should be. Now, HVID, you may have a topographer to the measurement, but you also may have a simple ruler and measure the HVID. For the sagittal height of the eye, it's a little bit more difficult to measure, because you can look at the profile of the eye and have an idea of how much is that sagittal height, and there are different indications for the sagittal height as well as the amount of the myopia. There are different indications, so we can see them maybe in another lecture, because there are so many. However, if you have a topographer that allows you to measure the corneal sagittal height at 10 millimeters, then you can use that amount, and to that sagittal height you have to add 350 microns of fluid reservoir. And from 10 millimeter to the 16 millimeter, 17 millimeter of your lens, for every 0.5 millimeters, you have to add 200 microns more. So you have the corneal sagittal height 10 millimeter. To get to the 16 millimeter, for every 0.5 millimeter in diameter, just increase 200 micron, and you will have the sagittal height of the lens that you need from the diagnostic set. So these are indications how to choose the first diagnostic lens from your set and apply it on the eye. Is that clear?
Yes.
So I will write here after the formula and will tell you. So corneal sagittal height at 10 millimeter plus 350 microns, which is the fluid reservoir, plus 200 microns for every 0.5 millimeters to get to your to the diameter of the lens that you have. Okay.
Are you writing it? Okay.
Yes, I just sent it to everyone.
Thank you so much, Dr. Daddy. So can we move on to the next presentation, please? I know that was
thank you,
Rajeswari.
So after this scintillating session, it's now time to invite our next speaker. So I invite Mrs. Maheshwari, Executive Chairperson of OATN, to take over.
Hello, good evening, everybody. So it was nice being here, and thanks to OATN for giving me this opportunity to speak here and to organize few things. So it was a joy to coordinate with people and see that how people have achieved a lot in their life. So looking at this, so now we had a very fantastic session from Dr. Daddy. There were a lot of visuals, and it was not like listening to a scientific lecture. It was like seeing a real story, how somebody got their vision back and their life back. So we have another interesting and inspirational session. So we are waiting for Mr. Fakhruddin to join us. So to talk about Fakhruddin, so he's a proud Indian working in Malaysia in CG University. He has done FASCO, it's a fellowship of ASCO and FAO. So this is a fellowship of American Academy of Optometry, and he's also cleared FIACL, is a fellowship of International Association of Contact Lens Educators. So his list of achievements, there is a big list. We can keep on talking about it, and he started his getting his awards from when he was doing his undergraduate program itself. Okay, so during his undergraduate program itself, he was awarded with a scholarship, and later, when he became an IACL member and cleared his IACL, and he was awarded as the IACL Travel Award was given to him. And also he has his publications in national and international peer-reviewed journals. And most of us know him through his OOLS online platform. This is an online Optom learning series. So we can see a lot of eminent people who have spoken in these webinars. So he has conducted over 175 webinars so far. So, the kind of contribution by him and a lot of achievements that he has seen. So we are very proud to have him here. And whenever we go to webinars and or any live event, so we see that it's not only the knowledge that we gain from them, it's also the inspiration, how they have achieved so many things in their life, and that I also want to do that. So similarly, all of us will be having some inspiration from seeing somebody who is achieving it. And recently we saw that Mr. Fakhruddin has awarded with fellowship from British Contact Lens Association. That was a very proud moment, as very few people in India who has cleared this fellowship exam. So we would like to congratulate and invite him here. So can we have Fakhruddin here? Hello, Fakhruddin. Yeah. So, so we are planning to have it very minimal presentations and more of interview type. So thank you, Fakhruddin, for joining us. And can we start with what is FBCLA, and how do we proceed with that?
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting me to the organizing committee. And I think the couple of minutes which we are going to discuss about FBCLA, I hope that whatever discussion happens inspires a lot of us attending this call to take up this fellowship process. The FBCLA is the prestigious fellowship award by the British Contact Lens Association. And you achieve this by various process. You have to kind of submit your portfolio, and we'll talk about this along the way in our conversation and guide people through it. And once you clear that portfolio process, you undergo EVIVA examination. And based on your examination, the evaluators will kind of suggest you to become a fellow, and the board of the BCLA then approves you to be a fellow. So that's a process in a very nutshell, I would say.
Okay, so thank you for that. I don't know how somebody applies for FBCLA.
Yeah, so I'm just going to share my screen, ma'am, just to show. I think the most important part here is to kind of visit the BCLA website. I've just put up the BCLA website here, and the first and foremost important criteria to apply for FBCLA is to first become a member of the British Contact Lens Association. So you have to become a member of the BCLA. Once you become a member, you can apply for the fellowship award. And not only that, BCLA has its own events. There are many courses which are offered by the BCLA. There are webinars. So it's more of an educational hub, I would say. Okay. It's not just for the fellowship, but there are many other things which are involved. And they have a lot of member resources. You get access to the Contact Lens and Anterior Eye, which is the official journal of the BCLA. And many other educational informations you will get once you become a member.
Okay. So that, we understand the benefits, once you become a BCLA member, and once you clear this fellowship award, now you become a fellow of British Contact Lens Association, then what is the benefit of becoming a fellow? Will it help us in any way, like in our publications or in any other credits that we'll be getting it once we clear this FBCLA?
Right. So any higher degree or educational qualification always adds to an individual credit. So it will be very beneficial, and I would say it's not getting the award is more important, or not clearing the fellowship is important. But the process is a learning process. So when you submit the portfolio, you're putting all of your case reports, your documents together. You get to learn a lot from the feedback by the assessor and things like that. So it's an holistic approach of learning. Plus, at the end, definitely you're rewarded with a fellowship, and that becomes a cherry on the top of the cake.
Okay. So looks very interesting that, so when you're saying itself, it is triggering our passion to pursue this. So, through the process itself, you are learning a lot. So that means this journey is going to be very interesting. So it's then I understand that it's not like any other written exam and you do a theory and all that. So it's going to be a very practical and submission of documents. So can you tell me who can apply? Who is eligible to apply for this?
Yeah, so any member of the BCLA can apply who is into contact lens practice and anterior eye practice. And practitioners, academicians, clinicians, all of them are eligible to apply once you have the member of the BCLA.
So is there any requirement that I should have cleared my FIACL or I should have done a master's degree to apply this, or how it works?
There is no such criteria that you have to be a master's or you have to have a FIACL. But being said that, those additional qualifications like your master's, your FIACLs, and other fellowship could be actually added to your portfolio to get you the points.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not a prerequisite, but it's something which will help you to create or collect your points.
Okay. So, in case if I am using my master's degree credit points to apply for FBCLA, so in that case, what is the criteria? I should have done I should have done a project in contact lens in my master's thesis, or how does it work?
Yes, so it is highly recommended that your master's project or your work you have done around your master's, not necessarily your thesis, but the work around your master's has some advanced contact lens training, and you have achieved some advanced contact lens or seen some contact lens patients or anterior segment conditions. So it's not just contact lens, it's contact lens and anterior eye. So if you have managed cases alongside with ophthalmologists for some anterior eye conditions, those could also be counted as well. Yeah.
So anyway, nowadays these master students, they have advanced contact lens in their syllabus, right? Okay, so is that will that add credit to that?
That will be wonderful, because once you are having these experience while you're doing your masters, you have seen those patients and you can write up these patients as your case report. So you're not only having that experience to count towards your master's points, but you can use these case reports to achieve points towards the case report section. So let me just show you once where you can find out all this information before I change screen. Those who are interested, I would highly encourage you to go to the website of the BCLA, which is bcla.org.uk. And once you go to the About page, you will see the option of fellowship and awards. This has the complete information and the entire process of how and what are the requirements of the fellowship. So once we click on the BCLA fellowship link, it has the list of the requirements and when is the next submission due, when can you attend, or how can you attend the conference, how can you achieve that Viva registrations. And if you go to it, you have these process on ways on which how can you get the points. So the ideal criteria is a member must get 50 points by various categories, and we'll discuss them in detail one by one in our further conversations. And once you have that, you can submit the application form with all the documentations, and the committee will look into it.
Yeah, if you can explain this point system, maybe it will be very useful to our viewers.
Sure. So I've just downloaded the fellowship application form, and this is the fellowship application form on your screen. So what happens is, as I mentioned, you have to kind of compile 50 points. The recommendation is it is better to submit as much as possible evidence as you have. So don't just stick to 50 points, maybe submit more than 50 so that you can cover up for anything which is probably not accepted by the admission committee board. And first, definitely you need to have a case report, and you can submit a maximum of 4 case report, which can add up to 40 points. What this case report should be, it is expected that it is an advanced contact lens fitting or an anterior eye condition management with sufficient follow-up, so that the assessors want to test the knowledge on how a clinician will make decisions. So they want to have sufficient follow-ups, at least for 2 to 3 follow-ups, or until the condition resolves if it's an anterior eye condition. And the website also has some case report samples which are very helpful. So I use them a lot to refer and how they write and what is the requirement on what details are they looking for. So you need to have an abstract, you need to write down the patient demographics and how the follow-ups went through. And at last, you have to discuss about the case. So there are 4 case report samples which are also available on the BCLA website, which are very useful to kind of look through it and draft your case. So that you can submit up till 4 cases. So you get 40 points there. And then you can also submit if you have presented at a BCLA conference in the past, if you have been an author or a co-author of a presentation at a BCLA conference, that can award you some more points, 10 points per presentation. If you have been part of a publication in a peer-reviewed journal, whereby the primary focus, of course, needs to be contact lenses or anterior eye, you can provide that to be awarded 10 more points as well. If you have written a book chapter or you have edited, you have done editorials, all of that can also contribute to the points. If you have done a workshop at the BCLA conference, that awards you some points as well. Your higher degrees such as post-graduation, your MPhils, your PhDs, all of that also contributes to some points towards the fellowship. And I would emphasize on this point number 7. So the BCLA has this certification course on dry eye as well as on myopia management. So it's an additional course which is run online, which you can undertake. And this is open to all members of the BCLA. So when you take up the membership, you have the privilege to undergo this course. These are recorded sessions and videos and also interactive sessions later on. And not only you get the certificate of completion of this course, but it also gives you a way of 10 points towards creating your portfolio. So this is something which is unique, I would say. And you are learning 2 ways, right? You're getting the information about the course. So at the same time, it helps you to achieve your fellowship as well. Academicians have a slight advantage, I would say, because you can also get some points if you are contributing into teaching advanced contact lens. You have to give supporting documents for it. So you get all of that. If you are involved in industry research, so the list is long. And I think everybody can do this because you might be doing something or the other, which you can combine into your portfolio and put it across to the committee to be, looking at your portfolio and awarding you the BCLA. So I think it's achievable if you are doing contact lenses and if you're practicing contact lenses, it is something which is very doable. Yeah.
Okay. So this is very interesting, but whatever you have downloaded, is it downloadable for everybody or members only can download this?
No, it is downloadable for everybody. So if you go to the bcla.org.uk and if you go to the fellowship page, at the bottom, there is a fellowship application form which everybody can download and you can have an access and read through whatever I have shown. Yeah.
So becoming a member of BCLA is going to be the first step, as I understand.
Right.
So how does it happen? What is the cost of this?
Yeah, so you just need to send in your application to the BCLA. And once, they approve it, you will have to pay the membership fees. Okay. And once you pay the membership fees, you are actually a member of the BCLA, and you can proudly use the affix M BCLA, which is a member of BCLA as well, to show that you are working towards achieving your fellowship, if I may put it that way. Yeah.
So what would be the cost of becoming a member?
So the membership fees is 236 pounds, which comes up to around in Indian rupees. I just looked at the currency rate. It was somewhere around 22,000 Indian rupees. So it's a yearly renewable membership. And an additional 100 pounds is the fellowship application fee. And that lasts you for 3 years. So it's not that you have to finish it within 1 year. If you apply for the fellowship and then you are creating your portfolio, that would be applicable for about 3 years. Yeah.
Okay. So this 22,000 approximately, what you said is it's
the membership fee.
Yeah, this is then they'll have to again pay for the next year 22,000, or
yes,
it's okay. So every year it is renewable, right?
Right.
Okay. So is there any option of getting any discount or anything for people who are showing good merits, or is there anything available? And also we would like to know that the cost of the travel does it require you to travel?
Yeah, so a good question, because I do understand about the financial thing and all of that.
Yes.
I think BCLA is kind enough, and now they also have a BCLA Asia where you can always, if you're not able to travel to the UK for financial constraints and things like that, they have a BCLA Asia conference within the Asian region where you can actually sit for your fellowship exam. So I think they are very supportive in that way, that they have the Asia version as well.
So we heard that a few years back it was held in India. So just want to share with the viewers, like sometimes it may happen in India also, so that we can save the cost of the travel and all that. After we submit all these points, documents and everything, so will be called for a Viva interview, as I understand. Can you explain how was the experience of facing this Viva process?
Right. So any examination, whoever you are a student, right? So it's always a challenge. But I would say that these fellowship Vivas are more of looking at what portfolio you have submitted. So they try to kind of test the knowledge around your portfolio. So it's more of an interaction, I would say, rather than a Viva. I think the name Viva should be changed to interaction for all of these. It's more of you're talking to the assessor, they're asking you some questions around it. So it's more of you're interacting with them. Whatever you have submitted, they are going to ask you, they are going to test you about basic contact lens and anterior eye knowledge. It lasts for about 15 to 20 minutes. And most of the questions are around your case, which you have submitted, your master's project. So for me, it was more of my case report. I had submitted a case on orthokeratology. And also my master's project was related to accommodation with multifocal contact lenses. So most of my questions and most of my discussion, I would put it that way, was around that. And I actually got some opinions on how I could have done things differently when I did my thesis. So things like that are useful so that you can actually plan up for your future references. Yeah.
So in case, during this final interaction process, as you mentioned, in case if you are not clearing, if you're not through this, then is there a second attempt that you can do? How does it work?
So I think since your fellowship application, is valid for 3 years. So if let's say for any such reason you're not able to clear your fellowship, I'm sure that you will be given an attempt if you are within the 3 years period. So that is all possible.
So that's very nice that they ask the interaction process. So they will be asking questions only from the case that we are presenting. So that means we need not worry about it because we have seen these cases.
Yes.
So these case reports, can you just mention your experience of presenting the case report, because some of us know we do not know how to present a case report. So we need the minimum number of how many follow-ups that we need, and your experience of doing this case report.
Sure. So what I'll do is I'll just take an example of the case report which they have put up on the website, just to kind of look at what is being expected. So ideally, what they expect that a case report should have, as I mentioned, sufficient amount of follow-ups so that we can make sure the condition either has been kind of resolved, or you have reached up to a point. If let's say you are having a specialty lens fitting, you have sufficient follow-up based on the aftercares, and you can kind of look at how to make clinical decisions at each follow-up. So usually I think a good follow-up case would be to have 3 to 6 months of a period, so that you can write up nicely, so that patient, you dispense the lens, the patient came in, and then you kind of followed it up for 2-3 visits, and then you have a final picture. I would say including more of the clinical relevant data, such as topographies, anterior eye images would be great, so that you can relate it and you can discuss. And at the same time, if you have kind of referred patients for ophthalmology opinion, I think including those, and if they were on any medications and things like that, would be an added advantage in, it's more of a complete case, putting up things in a completion. So that would be something which is looked at. So let me just share the case. I've just downloaded the case which is on the BCLA website. This is the first case. I've just simply downloaded one. So in terms of the requirements, of course, you will have a cover page. And the first thing is always you have to start with an abstract. So you write about basic things about the case. It's more of writing a trailer for the movie. And then you have the patient's presentation and writing about the initial symptoms, signs. You may put some tables which can give the relevant data of refractive status, the keratometric findings, the HVIDs, VVIDs, and things like that. Or you can put it up in paragraph format. And you see it's good anterior segment picture so that you can relate to the findings. And then you come up with a diagnosis, differential diagnosis of what did you think and what was your plan at that time. So what did you plan? You saw this and you decided to fit these kinds of lenses. So you plan up that, and then you fitted the patient. You did an aftercare. So you put on all the aftercare visits, including whatever was, if this is a case of corneal abrasion, so they have all the anterior segment images there. In contact lens cases, you may include contact lens fitting pictures, topographies. And once you have the follow-ups until, in this case, since it is a corneal abrasion, they have follow-ups until the case kind of resolved. And then you could, put up your discussion of how things went ahead, what was done, and with appropriate referencing. So I think this is a complete case with conclusion, and you can have all your references there. So it's more of presenting the whole case report in a proper way and writing it like a story. Yeah.
Okay, so as I understand, the number of follow-ups are just dependent upon the case.
Right.
Some cases require more follow-ups, some cases require less number of follow-ups. So,
that's right.
Yeah, so until you resolve the patient's problem, right?
Yes.
So that was very interesting. Would you like to add anything else? That the process of going through, or how long it took for you to. So you decided to go for this fellowship, and you have done many studies and presentations and all that. How long it took for you to finish this?
So I applied at the very end of last year, and then I started creating my portfolio. By that time, I had a couple of publications which kind of helped me into getting some points. And I wrote up one case again for for the fellowship points gaining system, and my master's degree, as well as the publication of my master's thesis helped me in that. And as an academician, some points towards that as well. So just sharing you my portfolio just to show that this is how I kind of put things together. So I had one case report, then I had a couple of publications which I could put in across, and some of them are I'm not the author. A couple of them are where I'm co-author. One of them is corresponding author. So it's not that you have to be a primary author as well. Yeah. And then you get, I have put my postgraduate degree, I have my fellowship and clinical supervision references, and all of these were backed up with the evidence. So I have put up these hyperlinks with evidence and attached it together and send it to the BCLA committee, fellowship committee. The website has all the details on who you need to address this to, and they will then kind of first evaluate whether your points are enough. So if you see, I've not submitted 50 points. I've actually submitted a bit extra. As I was mentioning, it's better to always put in an extra point so that, let's say this is not eligible, you always have a backup on that. And if you are eligible for the 50 points, the committee will say, okay, now we can schedule your discussion or interaction into bracket Viva. And that can happen during the BCLA conference. Yeah.
So as I see from your things of contact lens teaching, for people who are teaching contact lenses, for that itself we get 10 points, right?
Yeah, there is no such points which are mentioned, to be honest, on the website. It's more of how you can, how much points you think. So because I supervise undergraduate students and we do advanced contact lens fittings and things like that. So I just put up 10 points. If you are doing postgraduate students supervisions as well, maybe you can put 15 points and see if the committee really accepts that as well.
Okay. Yeah. So this is really nice and interesting, and we would again like to congratulate you for clearing this fellowship award of BCLA. So we are seeing some of questions in the chat box, but these questions are covered in our talk already. So one particular thing that Ms. Preeta has asked, do we have any points for development of modules in contact lens or conducting workshops?
Yes. So if it is with the industry, yes, you can always put in there. The only thing what I think you should be remembering is whatever you put in there in terms of contact lens evaluations and contact lens development, it all should be backed up with some evidence. So if the assessors feel that you need to provide some evidence, you should be able to provide, and I think they will consider it in some way. Yeah.
So similarly for contact lens teaching also, so we need to give a letter to support the evidence, right?
Yes, that would be, ideal if you are teaching, if you can get a letter of evidence saying that, you are a contact lens teaching head in the module, or you are teaching contact lenses to your undergraduate or postgraduate student. Those will kind of make your portfolio stronger in a sense, so that people who are reading the portfolio are kind of aware and they know that you have been doing work in contact lenses, in teaching contact lenses as well.
So this was really amazing and very interesting and very inspiring. So hope people will take up this as an inspiration, and we will browse through the website, and we will we will see that how we can get into this. So thank you so much. Thank you for this. I think there is some more questions. Okay, is postgraduate degree mandatory? So some people have congratulated you for clearing this, and there's one question: postgraduate degree, is it mandatory?
As I said, no, it's not mandatory, but it will always be helpful for you to create your portfolio points. So it's good that you have a postgraduate degree and you can put it up, to get the points, but it's not a mandatory thing to have a postgraduate degree.
So until like FIACL, only the contact lens educators can apply. So we feel that there is a difference and there is a scope for everybody, right? So you need not be a contact lens educator. So you can be a practitioner and you can still apply for this. That's a great opportunity for everybody. So thank you so much, Fakhruddin, for this excellent session. So hope this inspires everyone. Over to Pooja.
Yeah, just one screen share. Sorry, I just cannot stop from sharing this picture because we are talking and we are celebrating Dr. Raji, and I was very fortunate to find this picture. And Dr. Raji was also Dr. Raji is also a fellow of the BCLA, and in the same year, actually, she was awarded the Educator of the Year for the Asia Pacific by the International Association of Contact Lens Educators. So it's Dr. Raji who has motivated us, and I think it will continue. So I've been very fortunate to kind of have very short interaction with her during my visit at ESO for some conferences during my undergraduate. But yes, she has been a role model, and she is a role model for all of us.
So, Fakhruddin, how many people are there in India who cleared this BCLA fellowship?
So I did spoke to the BCLA, and I got the information that currently the active fellows of the BCLA are 3. So there are 3 active BCLA fellows, and we have Amod Gokte sir, who is also a global ambassador for the Asia region. Dr. Dadi is here, who is also representing BCLA as a global ambassador for Italy, and BCLA also has a few other global ambassadors within the regions as well. So those are the things.
Okay, so clearing this BCLA, and we become one of very few people, very few 3 or 4 people in our country. So once again, congratulations. Pooja, you can.
Thank you, sir, for beautifully decoding the steps to get BCLA. Just a reminder to attendees, please be sure to type your questions in the chat box. Now it's time to invite our next speaker, Mr. Sandeep Reddy. Mr. Sandeep Reddy completed his diploma in optometry with internship and fellowship from LV Prasad Eye Institute, Hyderabad from 2002 to 2006 and graduated from DY Patel, Pune in 2009. He was awarded as the Best Outgoing Fellow at LVPI in 2006. His core area of interest and expertise are dispensing optics and scleral lenses. Presently, he is serving as a Network Assistant Director of Opticals and Boston Side Scleral Business Development Segment. He is currently working on building practitioners network for Boston Side Scleral in India, Middle East, and Asia Pacific region, serving as an executive member and fundraiser for ALO, alumni of LVPI optometrists. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Pooja, for the introduction. Hope you're able to hear me.
Yes, we can.
Yeah, thank you. And first of all, I would like to thank OATN for giving this opportunity. And it's a great honor that I am here presenting on this occasion of Dr. Raj's memorial lecture. So let me share my screen. Hope you're able to see my screen now.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so today I'd like to talk about Boston Side Scleral and PROS, and about how is it different from the rest of the lenses, and how can you get it into the practices and the advantages you get along with this kit. Just to give you an introduction, Boston Side is a not-for-profit organization founded in 1992, and it's based in US, with its mission on improving quality of life by transforming and understanding the treatment and care for ocular surface, like it was discussed in Dr. Daddy's cases, that most of it is about improving the quality of life of the end users. So just to give you an introduction, that LVPI is one of the facilities outside USA which is manufacturing Boston Side scleral and prose lenses, and it was inaugurated in 2017, and we first in September, and then we started our manufacturing our first lenses in 2018 February. And I should even say that Dr. Raji was very instrumental. She was there during the inauguration, and even she helped us a lot in improving the quality. She had tested several of the lenses that we made here because she was using the same lenses from Boston side. We are importing them from US, and then after that, she'd given us a lot of feedback how to improve our quality. And we had a lot of interactions with her in getting the lenses to the quality where it is today. I'll just skip this because it's very basic that this is about the scleral contact lenses. And just coming back to this is about this kit. It's about empowering practitioners to deliver successful patient's outcome. That's possible with this kit by the following three things. One is the design, the fitting philosophy, and the fit connect. So I'll go into details of these three aspects. By design, I mean that it is designed by data. So Boston Side has been fitting and manufacturing lenses for several years, and they've actually studied the best fits of pros, and they've even studied the anatomy of the sclera, and that's how they've launched this simplified kit of Boston Side scleral in 2017. And even they've even simplified the fitting process, wherein that if you see that these kits for every diameter will have three lenses. One is the central lens from where you actually start, and then based on your fitting assessment, you can either move to the flat distribution or steep distribution. Unlike the other kits which have different base curve to select from and different options, here it's about all the standard steep and flat is the how the haptic is designed. So this is all the lenses come with standard 8 base curve, but your fitting will start based on the scleral fitting of the haptic zone. So each kit will have 24 lenses, and right eye and left eye lenses are also separate because this is one of the kits which will have, which even took care of the scleral anatomy between these two eyes and inbuilt into the lens haptic zone. And all the lenses come with front surface eccentricity for superior vision. So just a look, this is just an outlook of how the kit looks. So you'll get right eye lenses, and then you get left eye lenses, where if you see the top ones, this is a kit of 16, 16.5 and 17. So all these top lenses are 17 mm and then 16 mm lens, 16.5 and then 16 mm lens. In each diameter, you get one standard, one flat and one steep lens. If you see, all of these lenses are of 3 sag, and even within the same diameter, you get one lens which is even of a higher sag. So whenever you try a lens, if you feel that the vault has to be increased, you can definitely move to the higher sag lens so that you get your optimal fit. And excuse me, you can notice that all the lenses are with FSC 1, but there are 2 lenses in this kit with standard distribution. One is with FSC 0 and one is with FSC 2. Once you have achieved, you've done the trial and you want to see that if the patient is complaining of blur vision, ghost imaging, that's when you can actually try these 2 lenses to see if different eccentricities are working on this patient or not. This is about the overview of how the kit looks, and it's a very comprehensive kit wherein you will be able to finalize your lenses from your fit from using one of these lenses. Apart from that, you'll get a license to use this software called Fit Connect, which will actually improve your practice efficiency, where you can make real-time quadrant-specific changes. I'll show you some of the screenshots in the next slides, where you can modify the sag, the limbal curve, and the haptics independently. You can just only make sag changes without changing the haptics. You can just make only limbal curve or change in the base curve without affecting the sag and the haptic. That's the beauty of this spline curve technology. And all this, you'll have graphic representation. You can select your material, even you can track your orders and its status. You don't have to email or ask anyone. You can just use the software and place your order. So this is a screenshot of how you can actually modify your lens through the software. The lens actually comes with a dot, one dot for the right eye and two dots for the left eye. In the trial lens, even you will see numbers marked onto it, 1, 2, 3, and 4, representing 4 different quadrants. So when you're fitting a lens, it's recommended that you make note of what are the changes that you would like to make in each quadrant. And once you go to this software here, you can do those modifications. Like with each click of one button, you will see that 50 microns will be changed. If in this example, you see that we have flattened meridian 1 and we have steepened meridian 2. The red one, it will show you what is that you are changing. The red representing the changes that you have made, and the blue being the trial lens of that particular fit. So like this, you can make changes independently for each 4 quadrants so that you're inducing toricity to get a good fit. That's about the 4 quadrants, how you could modify. Here is an example where there's an edge lift, and with a modification of by steepening haptics by 150 microns, you're reaching the end point. The same is here after the lens. You have actually done the staining, and if you want to actually flatten it, you could do it through the whichever that particular meridian. You make note of that number, and you can place that order like that. And coming to the central sag, also is you can decide, you can design this also, wherein you can see here, like when I here I've increased the sag by 400 microns, that you can see in this graph how the changes that you have made has affected the lens design. And in cases where you want to change the limbal clearance, there you can actually change the base curve. By default, all the lenses come with 8 base curve. Now that this has been changed to 8.8 base curve, that will show you even the corresponding changes in the microns that's happened here. Like here, the blue being the lens with 8 base curve, and your red being with the 8.8 base curve. So this is the area that will, this is the area where the change is affected. And this much is the microns of change that you're seeing. So these are all the options, like 4 quadrants could be changed, the central sag can be changed, and the base curve can be modified based on the requirement. And apart from this, like we were discussing in the previous session, that if you would like to put smart channels, that's also an option where you could put a maximum of 4 smart channels in any lens. So but one thing to remember is that we need a reference. So the reference will be where is the dot located. Once you select the dot location in 0 to 360 degrees notation, and then you can actually select channel 1, and in this case from 350 to 10 microns, and channel 2 from 90 to 110 microns. Again, the smart channels are used for reducing suction, improving the tear exchange, and third option being you want to fit on some anatomical obstruction, you could always do that. And those are all the changes that you could make and design your lens. And coming to availability, it's available in all these diameters. These 2 are separate kits, and you can make a spherical of +20 to -20 with up to 6 diopters of cylindrical power. You can even give a toric lens, and sagittal height is also possible. You can do it from 2 mm to 6 mm. All the 4 quadrants are modifiable. You can even put front. You can even change the front surface eccentricity. You could select any of these materials which is available: Optimum, Extra, Extreme, Boston UQ, and XO2. that's the practitioner's choice to decide. And the good thing is that all these changes, all these modifications come with no extra cost. It's all inbuilt into the lens cost. And you have 3 months of fit exchange period, wherein when you're seeing the patients back in your follow-up and you want to make some changes to the fit, you could always do at no extra cost. And so just I would like to caution most of you that Boston site is different and Boston material is different. So Boston site is a clinic and a lens design from US, and Boston materials like Boston EQ and Boston XO2 are owned by Bausch & Lomb. So those are the materials which can be used by any manufacturer to use the lens. So these are the availabilities and the price options. We would like all of you to start using Boston site scleral in your practices. And you can always visit the site scleral.lvp.org and share it, put in your details. We will get back to you. Or you can call us on this mobile number, or even write to us at scleral@lvp.org, and we can connect and discuss. So that's my talk for today. And thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir. Your talk marked the finale with its informative content. And thank you so much. We also like to extend our gratitude for sponsoring us this event. And thank you so much for extending your support to make this event a grand success.
Thank
So
you.
I think we have few questions in the chat box. So the first question is, how Pros lens is different from Boston site?
Yeah, so Pros lens has been there for more than 35 years now. So Pros lens, in which you get, in the difference is, if I say between Pros and scleral. So in scleral, you get only 4 quadrants which you could modify. But when it comes to scleral, you could modify every 1.5 hours. That's close to 8 meridians that you could change. And it has no diameter restrictions. You could even fit a lens. You could design a lens from 14 mm to 21 mm. And even when in the screen I showed you that from the sag along through the landing zone, you will get 12 areas which you can modify based on your fit assessment. That some area you could make limbal zone more higher, and some area you could make limbal zone more lower, and all these options can be done. So that's the kind of customization that you could do through using a Pros lens, and you have very little restrictions in the Boston site scleral. But in a regular practice, I would say 90 to 95% of the cases you could easily fit with Boston site scleral.
And the next question is, the sag values that you have reported is for which diameter lenses?
So this is for all the diameters in scleral from 16 to 99.
And the other question is, how does the practitioner decide on to choose which Boston material?
So it's the practitioner's choice. So it's dependent from case to case. Like in a case which is a compromised cornea and you want more oxygen to be delivered, then obviously you should go for a material which is of higher decay, like XO being 100 and XO2 being 140 decay. You could choose. EQ2 has good stability, I would say, and it has a decay of 85. So it's up to the practitioner. You could decide whichever material you want based on your case.
The next question is, would not sag vary with diameter? What are the modification is made to maintain the sag?
Yeah, so that's the, I would say, the beauty of this spline technology. So wherein they're actually able to keep the diameter same, so that the diameter is same, and you can independently modify the central sag without modifying the haptics. That's something unique with this design, and that's still owned by Boston site.
So I think that's all. We are done with the questions. Thank you so much, sir, for your presence.
Yeah, thank you.
So we have now arrived at the most awaited and exciting part of the event, the awarding ceremony. It's time to look forward with anticipation as to know who has bagged the first 3 places in Oracle, competing with 155 participants. So I now invite Mr. Vivek Sugandhan, Organizing Committee, to announce the Oracle winners.
Thank you, Pooja. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
It gives me an immense pleasure to announce the winners of Oracle examination, but it's an unwritten rule that we should keep the participants' heart pumping for the results, right? So I'd borrow a few minutes of your time to brief about the exam. As part of the OATN's Dr.Rajeswari Mahadevan Memorial Oration 2022, the second edition of OATN Rajeshwari Contact Lens Examination, Oracle, was conducted between 1 and 3 p.m. today. So the examination was held for the 3rd and 4th year optometry students in order to assess their knowledge on contact lens and to boost their confidence in contact lens practice. So there was a total of 50 questions which were asked from 7 different domains of contact lens, and the exam was conducted in an online platform with 45-second duration for each question, and the options were randomized. We had around 277 students registered for the examination, and out of which 155 students were able to successfully complete their exam today. And at the end of exam, we had 2 students scoring equal mark, and hence a tiebreaker round was conducted and the winner was selected. So we would like to thank Ms. Renu Thomas, Mr. Siddharth, Mr. Samuel Vijay, Ms. Akshaya, Ms. Shakuntala, and Ms. Pooja Nandagopal for helping in the preparation of question. And we would also like to thank Ms. Divya and Ms. Pooja for organizing and conducting the examination in a smoother fashion. We also express our gratitude to Mr. Sandeep Reddy, Boston Sites Clearal Assistant Director, LVPI, for sponsoring. And finally, it's time to announce the 3 winners of Oracle. So the 3rd place goes to Mr. Karthik Kumar Gupta from Bharati Vidyapith School of Optometry, and he will be receiving a check of rupees 2,000. And the 2nd prize goes to Ms. Deepa A from Netradama School of Optometry, and she will be receiving a memento and check of rupees 3,000. And finally, the 1st prize goes to Ms. Nikita Bhatt from Netradama School of Optometry. Her institution will be receiving a rolling trophy, and Ms. Nikita will receive a memento and a check of rupees 5,000. So congratulations to all the 3 prize winners. Thank you.
Thank you, Vivek. So thank you for you too for helping us conducting the exam. And congratulations to all the winners. Dr. Rajeshwari's family members have also joined us today. OATN is happy and honored by your presence. So I invite Mr. Ganesh, Dr. Rajeshwari's husband, to say a few words.
Hi, good evening. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me for this. I think it was the 2nd event, as far as I remember. So time flies. Maybe for you, time flied in a certain speed, but for me it was a bit of a with the arms and saying because this is the 2nd year without Raji. Okay, so see, 1st year was not much of event because their parents, in-laws were there, and we had all the ceremonies to be conducted. So it was not an event. It was just a normal year. Okay, without Raji. But 2nd year was more painful because everybody left. We were left out. Myself and Ashwini were left. So, but we had our own challenges. That Ashwini joined college. She joined Ethiraj College in the BSc program of nutrition. So that turned out to be a very good turning point because she started going to a college. A small kid whom Raji really loved. In fact, the whole Shankar Netralaya building, both in probably in Nungamagam and St. Thomas More, knew Ashwini more than me, probably. Okay, even the canteen fellows knew what kind of dosha she will eat. Okay, she used to eat. So she grew up to be a college-going kid, like much of you, most of you who entered Elite School of Optometry. So, looking at the different events that happened past 1 year, I would rather, I won't say it is an advice, but still a reflection from my side that don't ignore your spouse. Don't take it for granted, because if you miss them, you'll miss a lot. That's one thing that I would like to share. Second thing is, Preeta was talking about Raji's meticulous preparations. Who else can vouch for that? When we go out for a family function or any outing or anything, that she will have everything. Right from napkins to forks to spoons and water and everything. She used to carry so much of preparations with her, and she used to give more importance to the health. But unfortunately, this was a bit of a speed breaker on a highway, which is not supposed to be there. But still, please focus on your health and small things. Keep focus on your small things, because we all learned in our kindergarten days that a stitch in a time will save 9 and all those things. So keep. That is what you learn from somebody like Raji. And 2 years post Raji is like, if I put it in a contact lens perspective, I lost my contact lens in the middle of the desert. So the future is slightly hazy, but still, I think I can manage. Let me see. And thanks to Rizwana. Second thing that I would like to suggest that keep your friendships alive, so that you will cherish your memory. You'll remember what they have done for you, and you can at least reciprocate to somebody else. So that in a Telugu film, I think there was a rule. The hero followed a rule that help 3 people without asking any return favor. So that will multiply into 3 to the power n number of people whom they meet. So just keep a friendship alive, keep your spouse happy, don't ignore them, keep your health intact. With the COVID and other things, it's not a distance past, but still it is a real showstopper for all of us. So keep the spokes of your health, family, and your job well oiled and well nurtured, and keep it fit and keep it running. So I thank OATN and Rizwana and all the other people who are present here, the presenters. Really, maybe I couldn't contribute much on that but I could take some technical input from your this thing for my own projects. So whoever talked were, I think, making a lot of relevance, so that the whole concept of optometry comes to a next level. And I was thinking that maybe it is not against BCLA or any IACL or something like that, but we should come out with an Indian version of BCLA and ICLA sort of a thing. If we can have IPL, we can't have ICLA or some sort of an IACL, okay, Indian version of IACL. Because the conditions, as I understand, the medical conditions for Indians are slightly different or much more different because of the kind of environment that we have. So somebody can start something like this, so that next 20-30 years, probably your name will be spoken in some other forums, that one day, we were listening to a lecture and somebody suggested this and we came up with this idea. Idea is something which is which can be shared. Like Somebody said, you have 1 rupee and I have 1 rupee. We swap each. So we have 1 rupee each. But you have idea, I have idea, and we swap. We have 2 ideas each. So let's carry forward the legacy of Raji. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, sir. We are happy to have you here today, and our best wishes to Ashwini for a new journey.
Thank you very much.
We have now come to the end of the session. To formally conclude our enriching session, I now invite Dr. Anuj Singh, Education and Core Committee member of OATN, to propose the vote of thanks.
Just 1 minute. Congratulations for all the winners. I forgot to mention that.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Pooja. Gratitude is not only the greatest of virtues, but the parent of all other virtues, said Marcus Aurelius. We have a long list of people to whom we should be thankful about having done this program successfully. On behalf of the Dr.Rajeswari Memorial Oration Organizing Committee, I express my sincere gratitude to the first speaker of the evening, Dr. Daddy Fadel, Optom, FSLS, FBCLA, FAAO, FACL, private practitioner and head of European School of Scleral Lenses, for her inspiring talk on scleral lenses. My thanks are also due to Mr. Fakhruddin S. Barodawala, Optom, FACL, FASCO, FAAO, FBCLA, lecturer, Segi University, Malaysia, for his insightful talk on his journey towards BCLA Fellowship Award. And thanks to Ms. Maheshwari for a very interactive session. My thanks are also due to Mr. Sandeep Reddy, DOT, Optom, Assistant Director, Boston Site Scleral LVPEI, for his wonderful talk on scleral lenses. Bring it to your practice. I'm sure the students and faculty members listening to your talks have been immensely benefited by your knowledge sharing and insights. My heartfelt gratitude to our sponsors, LVPEI, Boston Site Scleral, for this sponsorship of today's event. I thank our President OATN, Dr. Jameel Rizwana Hussaini, for her constant encouragement and support to all the initiatives of OATN. I thank the dynamic young team of OATN, the Vice President, Ms. Preeta Ramprasad, Principal of Boston Institute of Ophthalmology and Research, and Senior Faculty, VIOR Chennai. Secretary of OATN, the very resourceful Ms. Purnima Arun, young lady and proprietor of Apt Vision. Treasurer, Dr. Aishwarya Radhakrishnan, for all their wonderful support. The advisory committee members, the education committee members, organizing committee members of OATN, for their constant and unflinching support. The Oracle event is worth mentioning. It was ably conceptualized and conducted by Ms. Divya, Assistant Professor, Faculty of Optometry, SRM Institute, Katankulatu, and was assisted by Ms. Pooja Nandagopal, PhD Scholar at University of Melbourne. A special thanks to Ms. Maheshwari, Senior Optom, Faculty, Researcher, and Innovator. Ms. Preeta, for all their efforts they have put in for the successful conduct of this event. A big thank you to 2 people, Dr. Anita Arvind, Senior Optometrist, Faculty and Researcher, classmate of Dr. Raji, for sharing her thoughts about Dr. Raji. We relived the nostalgia through her words. Thank you, Anita, for being a part of this event. To use an oft-repeated cliche, last but not the least, our heartwarming gratitude goes to Mr. Ganesh, Dr. Rajeshwari's husband, for accepting to speak in this occasion and sharing his thoughts and words with us. Thank you, sir. Congratulations to all the winners of the Oracle event, and a special thanks to all the participants, the OATN members, heads of institutions, and faculty members for popularizing this event among UG students and colleges across India and abroad. My everlasting gratitude to God Almighty for making us all come together to be a part of this event. I'm sure Dr. Raji would be enormously proud of all of us today had she been amongst us. Nevertheless, she's watching us in spiritual form. Thank you, Pooja. Over to you. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. Until we live, you will live. Until we live, you will be loved. Until we live, you will be remembered. With the ever cherishing memory of Dr. Raji, on behalf of OATN, I thank you all for staying with us throughout and for taking time off your busy schedule to join us today. I hope that you have gained a lot of insights from our three wonderful speakers. See you all again next year. Keep safe and enjoy your weekend. Thank you.
Thanks, Pooja.
Thank you all. Thank you so much for this
Thanks.
amazing program.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Pooja, for staying up. Huh?